Gotcha.
Okay, I got the dual monitor, so I never know if you can see a mountain range or if you can see the screen that I want you to see. Okay, so talking about developing a leadership curriculum, there's my info. I'll put that up at the end also. So how do we get here? So I took over 2012. We were 3-6. I took over in June. Had no time to plan anything. We basically took over in late June. Had a couple coaches stay. Most of the staff left, and we went from there. 2013. We were 4-6. We had some leaders, but they were kids that led in the wrong direction. There's every team's got a lot of leaders. It's just if they're leading in the direction that you want them to lead in. 14 had some really good leaders, lacked overall talent, but we really felt good about the direction we were going in. Felt like we had it figured out. We still weren't teaching anything. We just kind of thought that, hey, we had good leaders, so it's going to continue. 15, leadership. We had some really great leaders, but they led in the wrong direction again. So at the end of this season, this 2015 season, we really sat down as a coaching group and said, all right, we need to figure out what we're doing. We need to teach this. We need to teach leadership. We had a brutally honest dive into our program. We really tore ourselves apart as a program and said, we need to get better at teaching our kids to be leaders. We were sick of the behaviors, the attitudes, the things that we were experiencing. We have to get better at this. So we started teaching a leadership class. So our first leadership class, we had a staff member who was a pastor at a local church. He liked coaching football too, so he developed his own leadership curriculum. He did it in the morning, 6:30, with a select group of people, and we kind of fought over who was going to get in. So we took, we took maybe 12 to 15 of our kids that we thought should be in this class, and we each kind of nominated some kids, and then we peered down the list from there. We did this for 2 or 3 years before he left because his church was kind of growing and he needed to pay more attention to that, and he had to step away from coaching. So then we went a year without any sort of leadership curriculum. And then, but why did we do this? We felt that football had to be more than just about football. It had to have lifelong impact. As you can see in those previous slides, we weren't winning a lot of games. So, and if you want kids to stay around a program when you're not winning a lot of games, you better make it about a lot more than football. They better be getting something out of it. Felt that all kids needed leadership. They need character education, how to be a better person. You can never teach too much of this stuff. All right, so we have a leadership class at school. I don't teach that, a business teacher does it, but it's by the John Norlin Character Strong program. Some other people might do that as well. And kids will take this for a semester and then they'll do something stupid and people will say, well, they were in their Character Strong class. I can't believe they still do that. Well, you teach a kid to catch a ball, they still drop a pass. So, you have to emphasize it over and over again. You have to hit home often with this. And you can't rely on someone else to do it. You can't rely on parents, that the parents are going to teach this. Can't rely on other sports that they're going to do it. A lot of kids might not even have father figures in their life or male role models. So they need this. So where we are now. So I teach it in the spring during a resource period during the school day. The last 40 minutes we have a modified block schedule. So Monday, Tuesday, Friday, we have 47-minute classes. Wednesday, Thursday, we have 90-minute classes. Then we have a resource period at the end of Wednesday, Thursday, where they are able to go make up tests and do any sort of work that they may have missed out on because of absence, field trips, or whatever. So I talked to my principal and said, I want to teach leadership. I want to do it during resource. So I was taking the eight days in the spring semester to do this. I teach the same lesson Wednesday and Thursday. That way, if a kid had to take a test on Wednesday, he can come on Thursday. I believe that leadership needs to be during the school day for max participation. I want every kid in our program to do this. No longer do we pick who does it. We looked at it and said, every kid needs this. Even the ones who you don't think are getting it need to get it. The ones that aren't paying attention need to get it. I think that fall camp is too late. Like I've talked to some people, they say, I want to do this in fall camp. One, I think it's too late because they can't be learning it during the fall camp. It's got to already be instilled in them. Two, it's going to become an afterthought. If you start it in fall, it's going to become one of those things that we'll do that tomorrow. We got to do this. We got to do pictures. We got to do whatever. It's going to get put off. So I think that you need to do it and I prefer the spring where it can lead into the summer. You can get some benefit from it there. Maybe you can do it over summer as well. But max participation is during the school day. They already have to be there. I got buy-in from the admin because I told him, all right, we got this resource period. We got 250 or 300 kids sitting down in the commons that don't have anything to do. I'll take 75 boys, which is almost 10% of the school population, and I'll make an otherwise boring or period of the day where they're going to screw off or sit on their cell phones and make it useful. And for all those teachers that may have otherwise had them, I'll take them. So the kid you're complaining about all day, I'll take him the last 40 minutes of the class period or of the school day, so you don't have to complain about him. Like I'm willing to actually take him from you, so people don't complain. Well, football gets this sort of advantage or whatever. I do 2 separate groups. I do a sophomore junior group, and then I do a freshman group, and I alternate the weeks. So I'll do a sophomore junior group this week, and then I'll do a freshman group the next week, and then it alternates. So over 16 weeks, both groups get 8 character development or leadership development lessons. So how did I develop the curriculum? I started from scratch. Now I have some stuff that I went off of. I looked at the notes from people's clinics that I had done in the past and whatnot, and pulled a lot of stuff. But basically, I started from scratch. I picked 8 words that I wanted to base my lessons around. What are the 8 things I thought were most important that they needed to develop or learn? And then from there, I developed a packet or a workbook for them to follow along with. This isn't homework. I don't like giving homework in this, but I want them a place to write down their thoughts to the questions that we go over, and I'll show you what that looks like. And I try to find examples that are relevant to them. Some people would give me some material that was really old or dated or whatnot. I wanted stuff that was relevant right now. And then be vulnerable. Share personal experiences, stories, things like that might otherwise be tough for kids to talk about in a group with 40 other guys. But I feel like that's important because that it develops a connection, and they understand that people struggle and people overcome, and as football players and as men, we don't always have to just be this tough guy. So, okay, here's my upperclassmen outline. So here are the eight words that I picked this year. And then each of these has an outline that goes with it, and then each of them has a PowerPoint slide also that goes with it. So the first thing we talk about is, what is leadership? I want them to like, what does a good leader look like? What does a poor leader look like? Who's the best leader you've seen? I try to do these lessons in 35 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes. Anything longer than that, you're going to start losing them. And really, if we can get it in 25 with some good conversation, I'm happy with that as well. We talk about, and if you've been to the state clinic, a lot of this stuff I have stolen from Steve Jones' PowerPoints or, his presentations, because he does a great job with this stuff. And then I put movies or, videos into it. But the thing with videos, I try to keep them to 3 minutes or less. I don't want to show kids an 8-minute video. You're going to lose their attention. If I'm going to do this whole thing in 35 minutes, it's going to be a 3-minute video. So I make sure I have it queued up to what I want to teach them, that leadership lesson. We talk about purpose. I tell them, what's my story? Why do I coach? Where does that come from? I had a couple of coaches, Dexter McNabb, Coach Bill Turnquist, he's at West Appear now at Bayport, that have made an impact on me. That's why I do it. I want them to figure out what their why is then. What's the why of our program? And then we read an article called Requiem for a Hero. Pull that one up when you're done tonight. It's about a young man out in Pennsylvania who got to play one last football game after a diagnosis of cancer. And we read it, and it almost put you in tears. We read it with the kids, and it was powerful. Talk about love, right? Nobody wants to talk about love with 40 other males or especially football guys. But we show the Dabo Sweeney clip. Talk about love as a verb. All these things that make you a great teammate, right? Being patient with your teammates, being kind to them, being kind in the school, being kind to everybody else in the school. Humility, not being arrogant. All right, so we talk about all that stuff. Got some other videos that Army Navy football article, things that are relevant to them that they can understand. This one, this is the last one we did prior to school getting shut down, but we talked about opportunity. And a couple things I had in this opportunity one was, so I showed this thing. What do these 5 athletes all have in common? And every one of them was a walk-on. See, all they wanted was an opportunity. And when they got that opportunity, what do they do with it? All right. So then I show them this clip, and most of these guys don't even know who Drew Bledsoe is or Mo Lewis is, but I show them this clip, and because we're talking about opportunity, and my lesson, has nothing to do with Mo Lewis or Drew Bledsoe in this clip, but at the end of this clip, so it's the clip where Drew Bledsoe gets knocked out of the game. So none of them know who Drew Bledsoe is, Mo Lewis is, but they all know who this guy is right here. We'll show it to you. Okay, right there. Tom Brady, right? So we talk about opportunity, and a guy that was a 6th-round pick who was ready for his opportunity when it came. You never know when that opportunity is going to come, but when it does, you have to be ready. And the guy never let go. 20 years later, 6 Super Bowl championships. So we talk about that. I'll show you what that workbook looks like. It's pretty simple. I keep it in my room, but each lesson has a couple questions with it, and 4 or 5 questions, whatnot, and they fill them out as they go. And then that gives them something to talk about. This is really important, I think, because if you don't have them write it down, you're going to get the same 3 or 4 kids answering every question. I think that they need to write it down. You need to give them time to think about it. And then you're going to get a multiple amount of kids that are answering those questions, as opposed to just having your best leaders, the same kids, because you want that 55th kid on your roster answering these questions in front of his peers. You want the middle of the pack kid. You want the kid that has a rough home life answering them. You don't want just the kids that are good at school answering these. So I had all these questions developed prior to the lessons, and they each get this packet. And then the other thing, so then I have a freshman one. My freshman one is basically an intro to Onalaska football. What does it mean to be an Onalaska football player? And I do this the spring also because I want to retain these kids from freshman to sophomore year. That's where you see a big drop off in your program, is a lot of kids that play freshman ball but then don't come back out. So I want them to come back out. Some of the lessons are similar, but then a lot of them are different. Like the leadership one, that's similar because I want to talk about what leadership is, but then the rest of them are pretty much different. The freshman one is more difficult. They don't want to talk as much. They're not willing to give you as much feedback and whatnot, but that's the way it is. They'll come around. Picked up a lot of it from Steve Jones, WFCA presentations, John Gordon, Josh Metcalf, Joe Urban, Season of Life. Okay, it doesn't have to be original. Nothing that I've done is original material. I steal articles from things. Whatever. It just needs to be relevant to them. I'm willing to discuss my materials. I'm not going to share the Google folder of everything that I have. And the reason for that is I feel that what I've done is really important for my team, but that doesn't mean it works for your team. Now, if somebody says, hey, do you got an article on this? I say, yeah, I'll use this. I'm willing to share individual stuff. I just don't want to send my whole folder of my leadership stuff out to everybody. It's not a canned curriculum. It works for us. You need to figure out what works for you. Definitely we'll share. If you said, hey, I'm trying to figure out how we can teach this, I'll jump on a Zoom with anybody and go over the stuff that I have and whatnot. But the buy-in, I believe, the buy-in in teaching this comes from the development of in developing it, or part of doing it yourself in development. It's going to change yearly. This is going to be stuff that we look at every year and go over. I plan on doing this every year, so the curriculum's going to have to change because the kids aren't going to respond to the same stuff every year. Freshman one can stay pretty much the same if that's what I feel it needs, but otherwise it's going to have to be changed as we go. Okay, I'm going to put this back up. I can't see if there's any questions. We got any questions, Sam? I think I'm right.
You had one.
Yeah.
It was.
He's got a couple here.
No, he's got a couple. Yeah, a few more. What was the name of the book? The book you were talking about.
Which book?
Yeah.
Whoever asked that, type that in.
I think he's referring to the one about the player with cancer.
Oh, so that's not a book. It's called Requiem for a Hero. Trying to get out of presentation mode. Exit full screen. Okay. Requiem for a Hero. Requiem for a hero. Anthony Myers. I know I spelled that wrong. Yeah, it was on Peter King. So you want Peter King, Requiem for a Hero. It's this article right here. Great article. They also have a letter from his strength coach. It's awesome. It'll put you in tears.
All right. Next one. Do you collect workbooks to read and talk to kids about the answers?
Yeah, I collect them. They stay in my room. I'll page through them, and then go back to the kids and reflect with them, or ask them questions, or comment on it, or whatnot. If they leave your room, you know that they're not going to be coming back with most high school kids. So they stay there, and it's not homework. I don't check to make sure they filled everything out. But really, the point of the workbook is so that they respond in that class, or at least think about something or have something to talk about in a small group.
All right. Last one. Do you think you could teach this as a block class? How would you have to change it up?
I think with more time to develop it, yes, you could. I've told other sports, I said, I'll teach it to any sport. It doesn't have to be about football. I pull a lot of stuff from other sports as well. I love like Gino Auriemma from UConn. He's got some great sound bites out there that are really good things to talk about. And a lot of the articles that I show them aren't just football. Now, the ones I showed you guys, a lot of them were, but they're not all football. So could you teach it as a block class? I think so. Now, to get 90 days worth of material out of it, that's going to require a lot of work, because right now I got 8 40-minute lessons. So to create 79 more of those, or 80 more of those, or whatever, it's going to be tough. With time, though, you could do it. But the other thing you could build into that are some projects and whatnot. So right now it's really a discussion-based thing, but there could be a lot of projects you could base out of that if you were to turn it into a full class. Now, we haven't talked about that as a school. Something I've really wanted to teach leadership, though, so this was one way to get my foot in the door in doing it.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
And yep, I'll throw my thing up there one more time.
You bet.
If anybody wants to talk about it, by all means, shoot me a text or an email, and I'm willing to discuss what I got.
Perfect. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, stop share. There you go.